Hey everyone, welcome back to the Rhonda Swan Show. As you can see, I am not in my normal office or my studio. In fact, we are in Bel Air right now, and we are getting ready to launch our big book party, the big red carpet party here in this home in Bel Air. But before, I wanted to interview some of the most amazing people that I've met while we've been on this journey. And I want to first off thank the Nightfall Group, because this beautiful home was made possible because of the Nightfall Group. So thank you so much for allowing us to be in this beautiful home and to showcase the beauty that you're going to see in a moment. But let's get to the point of what we're talking about today, because I have the most unbelievable woman sitting next to me, Kelly O'Neill. I absolutely adore you, Kelly. I love what you do. I know that you're not only a contributor with Forbes Magazine, Entrepreneur Magazine, you've been showcased all over the world. And your zone of genius is taking your clients and repositioning them as the linchpin in their market, helping them scale 7, 8, 9-figure businesses. Well, the most impressive accolade that you have is that your methodology was scouted out by Seth Godin, and you won the Most Innovative Company of America award.
I did. I won a Purple Cow Award, which is honoring the most innovative companies in America.
Okay, so this is amazing. All right, so this is why this woman is sitting on this chair right here. So we're gonna have a little chat with Kelly, and so first off, tell me about the Purple Cow Award, and then I want to really learn about your journey, because that has got to be something we talk about from the start, because that's amazing.
Sure. So one of the things that I've always really prided myself on is thinking like there is no box. It's not even outside of the box.
Not even outside.
Not even outside.
No box.
There is no box. I was a former publicist in the Silicon Valley when I started my career. And so we were always looking for ways to cut through the noise for our clients, to help rise above, any of the industry chatter, set our clients apart, and really help them stand out in their markets. And so when I started my company in 2001 and I started working with entrepreneurs, which I'm so passionate about, I did the same thing. I applied those same big box marketing strategies, brand strategies, positioning strategies to my own business. And I've always done that. I've always been looking for innovative ways to disrupt, to shatter the status quo, and to really help people go to places that are uncontested in the marketplace.
I love it. So you won this big award. Like, what has that actually done? Like, obviously you and I as brand strategists, when you win something like that, did that really catapult your business, or were you already sitting in that space? Like, what happened?
So I was already sitting in that space, which was why I applied for it, and obviously ended up being one of the winners. And but I've won lots of awards for things like that, because that's what we do, right? We're always looking to be outside the box.
Yeah.
Right,
stand out.
And so has it helped? Absolutely, because obviously that's a great compliment. But I also think too, just being out in the public, and when I start talking about things that I believe and things that I'm passionate about, as well as the things that, quite frankly, I'm sick to crap of, that's when I think people start really going, oh, there's something different about her. She's not saying the same old that everybody else is, and she's not doing the same old that everybody else is.
No, and I think that's huge. I mean, especially in the market of noise, right? Because there's so much conversation out there, and there's so many people that are either Me Too's, or they're doing very similar things, and it's about finding that edge. So how did you find your edge? Like, when you came in as an entrepreneur, because you started off in Silicon Valley. Now then, when you became an entrepreneur, like, how did you build that gap?
So that's literally what I do for people for a living. So I did it for myself, right? I was my first case study, because when I came into the market, there actually weren't a lot of business coaches. I now don't categorize myself as that.
I was gonna say, because there's a very big difference.
But when I started, I was coming again with a lot of experience, and that's what I did. I looked for ways to position myself against what was available in the market, and that's what I've always done. So when the business coaching market started getting flooded, I was like, how can I differentiate? I don't want to be a generalist. I think being a generalist is the kiss of death to a service-based entrepreneur. And I started looking around, and I was looking for the hole in the market, and I found another one. And that's when I launched my Marketing to Millionaires program in 2008. And there was no one teaching it. And so I still today am known as one of the leading authorities in marketing affluent clientele for service-based businesses around the world. And I've just continually reinvented myself as the market has shifted. So then looking forward and watching what was going on in the market of entrepreneurial business development, I started to notice a lot of flaws. I could do a whole show on the flaws in the coaching system. A whole show.
I just read your post the other day. You were talking about this, like, stop calling yourself a coach. Like, what actually are you?
Right.
Like, what do you think the taboo is behind this whole coaching conversation?
I think that, well, yeah.
What's
so
the kiss of
I'm
death,
just going to go. I'm just going to go.
Just go there. Come on, sis.
So here's the deal. I think that the market has been flooded with a lot of individuals who actually aren't qualified to deliver the service. We've got these coaches at the top, which are really marketing and salespeople, who are telling people, if you want to make money, position yourself as a business coach, whether they have the experience or not. So we've got all these people flooding into the market. They don't have the experience. They don't have the credibility. They just are not qualified. They're also one-trick ponies. They swipe someone's material. They're like, I'm going to teach you how to follow this blueprint, and I hope to God it works for you. And if not, I can't help you because I actually don't know business strategy. Right, you're not a business strategist, right? So, and I don't believe strategy is, there's different blueprints for different people. Not everyone can do what you and I do, you know, and not everyone would enjoy it and it wouldn't be fruitful for them. So, you know, that's kind of that's what I've always done is I've looked at that and I've looked at the market and I kind of identified the key issue that's going on into why these entrepreneurial businesses are failing under the traditional coach model. I actually have a piece for Entrepreneur right now about is your business coach actually harming your business? And it's based on all of these. It's not quite out yet. It's in the editorial review, but it'll be out shortly.
Well, I think it's a big conversation. I mean, this is where we will be able to separate, right? It's the vinegar and the oil kind of separation, right? Where the cream really does come to the top. However, how do you distinguish then between who is in the cream when they're all calling themselves the same thing?
Well, so that's actually one of the things, right? It's like if they sound like everyone else, then they're not the cream.
They're not the cream. Right?
They're just not, right? I mean, that's, you know, the positioning piece is so, I mean, you know this because it is absolutely
everything.
Critical in today's marketplace. In today's marketplace. It's so saturated with everything that's going on. With how many people flooded the internet. It's like, if you're not standing out, you're literally invisible. You're literally invisible. It's being in branding for so long. It was always finding, how do we find these creative ways to actually showcase what we do? You know, that's really what it's all about. So what are some clients that you specifically work with? Because I love your program, The Millionaire Maker, Marketing to Millionaires.
Marketing Millionaires, So tell us more about that. Like, who is it that you're working with and what is the work that you're doing with them?
So, I mean, really now I'm more focused on the women's thought leadership market, but I still always, part of what I do when I'm consulting with my clientele, and I'm working a lot with women who are making $1 million and over, is I'm helping them to really get into that high ticket business where they are, you know, they're selling their services for $100,000-$500,000 a year. So they're wanting to have, a lot of times the women that I work with, part of their business model is they don't want to work with a lot of clients privately. They want like 3. So 3 at like $300,000. Well, that's, you know, a lot different than having $3,000 clients, right? So it's all about positioning them. It really is. That's all it is. It's understanding the mindset of how millionaires think, how they buy, because you and I, it's different. We don't buy the same. We don't want the same services. We don't want the same old. We want something truly results driven and truly epic. And so I'm helping them to position their businesses to have that kind of clout and also to be able to get into those doors past the gatekeepers.
And this is where your women thought leadership work is really moving forward.
It is,
right? And so what industries are you really mainly working with then?
So I actually work with a lot of different industries. So I've got clients that are, I'm just thinking of my private women's group. I've got, HR consultants. I'm working with women who are shaking up their industries, that they're looking at their industries and they're like, this is broken. Like I did with the coaching industry. I'm like, this is broken. What's going on here? So I'm working with those women who are like, I want to do things differently. I want to share things with the world. Like I want to rewrite the rules and or the way that the industry has been, under the masculine guidance, it's not working for the lifestyles anymore. At this point, there's a lot of women out there, like, we want our cake and we want to eat it too. And I'm helping them figure out how to do that and rise to the top of the market by questioning it.
Yeah, and I love this because it might have been a post that you made, and it's something that I truly resonated with, is that a lot of marketing, like I was one of the first digital marketer women right back in 2004, and I was working with all the men. Right? And it was like we were learning the manipulation, the coercion, the buy now, the calls to action, right? And we knew the formula, and it did work. It did work for a long time. However, now it's like the veil has been lifted. I love Warren Buffett always says, you know who's been swimming naked when the tides go out.
Yep.
Right? So all of a sudden, all these marketing messages, everyone's so aware of them, and it's now those that are really coming and being truly authentic. So I think that this is where I'm like wanting to shake up the way women are communicating and connecting and converting, right?
You and I are so on the same page about that, which is really, my entire movement with the women is not just about the thought leadership. It's about how can we actually come together and help each, like, we do business differently.
Yeah.
And when we have not been overly masculine, where we're trying to pull each other, the
grab,
whole crab butting, not into it at
Well, it
all.
just gave me goosebumps thinking
I just
because that used to be me though. I used to be like that.
Same.
Right?
Same, because that's what we were
like
taught.
we were
That's
taught.
how we had to
That's
survive.
how you were successful.
And now it's like, no more.
Yeah.
Now it's all about how can we come together, and I call it leveraging OPG and OPN. How do you leverage other people's genius and other people's networks so that we can all rise together?
Yes. Yeah.
And that's a big piece of the work that I'm doing.
Well, yeah, and you know what I love the most too is that you and I both work with very high net worth clients, and what I have seen is we need to change those that are working on getting there, because typically the ones that are at the top they're pretty much getting it. They're like, look, I've got my thing, you've got your thing, how do we help each other?
Yes.
Like the moment you and I were like, okay, how do we connect? How do we do this? You came to see me, you came to my event. It was like, how can we connect the dots for each other, right?
Yes.
And I find that, and you could agree or not agree, that as a woman or a male business is growing, it's like they're trying to squeeze. It's like that race car driver, like white knuckling it, right? And they don't want to give out their context. They don't want to give out.
Oh yeah.
Right? So they're afraid, which is what is actually pulling everything down. Because they're the ones that will rise faster if they let that go.
Totally agree.
Right?
Totally
so
agree.
What is your thoughts on that?
I totally agree.
Yeah.
One of the arms of my business, I actually run a community called the Up Level Community, and it's actually based on this methodology of collaboration.
Yeah.
I teach them how to do it. How do you get together? How do you position yourself to be a high value resource? And how do you leverage relationships and opportunities? And we all come together and we surround each other and we rise together.
Yes.
And this is actually how you and I got connected, because one of my private clients, who's also in the community, is the one that introduced you and I. Then the power of collaboration works.
Right.
And then she said, you have to meet her. And then you were in Vegas, and I said, I'm going to go. And I also got a 6-figure client at your event.
Of course.
Right? And made a bunch of really amazing relationships and made new friends and partnerships and got to visit with other clients. This is the way that we're meant to do business as women. There's more than enough to go around. And if we could just help each other and support one another, like, what could we create in the world? Because we're not going to do it alone. We're not meant to.
No, we're not meant to do it alone. And I think that's what I love about this book that we've got coming out. And all of a sudden, what I found, the moment that book came out, all women like you and I, like, it really started to come together, because we're like, okay, she's already doing it, right? And all of a sudden, like, right, the veil lifts, you go, and we start finding women that are doing it. And what do you think it's going to take for women to really shift their belief system to getting to that collaborative level? Like, what do you think it's going to take?
I think the first thing is, I think it requires education, and like a re-education, because if they've heard this the entire time, and then like, this is why my platform is so important to me. It's about like, wait, hold on, there's a different way.
Yeah.
Let me show you an alternative way, right? Because relationships are rocket ships. So if you can actually focus your business based on relationships and really supporting the women around you and supporting your clientele, and it's all coming back anyways, right? So I think there's part of it is a re-education, then part of it is just a willingness to get in with the right crowd who operates that way and to have those positive experiences. I see the same thing with promotion. I see a lot of people being like, I don't want to promote because I have to promote my own stuff. Like I have to promote my own stuff, so I can't really, I can't take time to put your stuff out there. Wrong answer. Yes. I mean, the minute that part of the reason I came to your event was not only to actually meet you in person, but also to support what you up to before we even ever met. And then when I came back, I made a big post.
You did such a huge post.
I did some social media around it. I said, you guys, like, check out what these women are doing and support them.
Yeah.
We've got to get over that fear-based lack mentality sense, because there's so much more than enough to go around for everybody.
Yeah, I love it. I love what you do, and the direction that you're taking your clients as well. Can we micro in a bit about the methodology?
Yes.
Because I really want my audience to know and understand what is the process that you use to get people from A to B, if you will, or A to Z.
So I actually, and I'll give you a small background, when I was analyzing the coaching industry, and I'm like, this isn't working. And there's, on my podcast, Epic, I actually detailed the whole story about how I had this grand epiphany of the unveiling. Can I swear? Did we swear here?
Yeah, fuck yeah.
Okay, great. Yeah. So
I'm
like
from Detroit,
the great
sisters,
unveiling of the bullshit, right?
Yeah.
And like when all of a sudden I realized, I was like, something is wrong here. And then I realized it wasn't just me, right? I realized that it was my peers as well. And I actually pulled all the way out of that industry for 2 years. And for 2 years, I went back to straight consulting. I went back to like more of I didn't go back to corporate, but I went back to more of that methodology of like straight consulting and branding and that sort of thing. And I started analyzing the market, and I realized what the problem was. The problem is that people are step skipping. They're not going in the right order. And this market, this business coach market, has shit backwards. So they've got the cart before the horse all of the time. All of the time. So the biggest things that I saw were an issue, and then I'll tell you what the methodology is because I've trademarked it. The biggest issue that I see is people don't have clarity. They are not operating on strategy. They're operating tactically, and they've got the cart before the horse. Like that's like the main crux of it. So what's happening in the industry is someone's like, what do you want to do? Oh, you want to be a millionaire? Great. Follow my blueprint. Doesn't matter if you've got the chops for it. Doesn't matter if you enjoy it. This is my blueprint. You follow it. And then you better work your ass off and hustle and grind. And if you don't get results, it's because you're not working hard enough, and you better work harder. And then eventually it spits them out the other side. They get frustrated. They go find another mentor.
It doesn't work.
It doesn't work. They go find another mentor, but they still have the same problem. Same problem.
Yep.
I created something called the profitology process. And at the core of the profitology process, which is really the baseline of what I use for all of my business strategy and marketing strategy, it's ultimately who you're being as a CEO of your organization. I don't care if you've got you and one other person, you're the CEO.
Yeah.
Who are you being as the CEO, and what are your business operations? Because nobody's scaling and going to have that freedom-based business if you do not have your operations dialed like you do. Wow. You've got the mothership that runs on autopilot. Like you wouldn't be able to do this amazing book launch if you didn't have that going.
That's right.
Then we start with clarity. What is it that you really want? And I look for clarity on 3 levels. What is it that you really want your life to look like? Really, not what other people told you wanted. What do you really want it to look like? And then what do you want your business to look like? And your business needs to feed your life, not the other way around. Like we don't do business to do business. No, right? Our business should be, building our life. And then what are the finances it's going to take to make that happen? Okay, so we get extreme clarity. The next thing that we do is we go to strategy. That's your strategic positioning, and that's the business model for you. Again, there's not one size fits all. There's so many different business models out there. You might think like, oh, I have to do this business model because that's what I was taught. It's like, what if there was another business model that worked better for you? Right? So we look at that business model, we look at that business strategy. The next thing we go into is the branding. So we've got the positioning and we've got the business strategy. Now we need the brand strategy, and first the brand strategy and then the execution, right? You guys, a logo and a website is not a brand. It is a graphic design. And guess what? You probably don't want rainbows, kitties, and like, you know, colors that look like they came out of your child's crayon box. I'm just saying. So, you know, then we've got the brand.
Yeah.
Then we do the marketing, because the marketing is supposed to reinforce the brand. But so many people have step skipped this, and they go out and they're just like, I just have to start doing stuff out there, and they're pushing traffic and they're doing all this brand awareness stuff.
No congruency.
And they're like out trying to get on podcasts, and they're out trying to do all this stuff. And it's like, you don't even know what you do. Like, you're not even clear, and you sound like everybody else in the marketplace. So you're really just wasting your time. So we do strategic marketing that folds into sales. Automation, because once we've got the process down, we optimize it, automate it, and then we up level, and it just keeps going around in that direction. That is how I build 9-figure companies.
Well, this is your trademark. This is why you won the Purple Cow.
Yes. I mean, I didn't have that at the time I won it, but it's this thinking. This is
the thinking.
The thinking. The thinking is, this is a broken industry. We need to fix it.
It is, and it's literally, it's being okay with pulling on the strings and unraveling. And that's something that I love to do the most, is just take and unravel. Because early on in the industry,
and being willing to put up with the shit that I get. Because I'm rocking an entire industry, and not everyone loves it.
They don't like it. Well, I mean, I'll be, the first to say, I mean, I've been partners with some of the top, funnel guys, traffic guys. They were all my mentors. And I was just like, like, this stuff doesn't work anymore.
I remember sitting in a room, and this was like right before the big epiphany, where I stepped out of the industry, and I was in a room full of these conscious business people. That's what they named themselves. Right. And they were all talking behind the scenes, and I'm not going to name names because that's just it's just not classy.
That's all we're going to do.
It's just not classy.
You figure it out.
But yeah, you'll figure it out. And we were in this room, and all of them were talking about how they are basically manipulating launches to make more money, and like all of the
psychology,
but sneaky stuff, and like lying and stuff. And I was the asshole in the room that went, "Excuse me, I've got a question." I was like, aren't we supposed to be doing conscious business? Like, I'm not, like, can you all explain to me how like lying and manipulating people and is conscious? And you literally, like, you could hear people go,
pin drop.
Yeah. And it was weird. I never got invited back to that room again. It was so weird. But I'm that girl, right? I'm like, no, that's not cool.
Yeah, and be okay to say it. And I think this is the bigger message that I also want to bring out for women businesses, certainly for men as well, but more so for women. Don't be fucking afraid to step out of the lines, color out of the lines, and I think that's what's going to actually get us to creating a better world, a better business, and to creating bigger change in the world than just, this is what they tell me to do.
Yes.
This is what they're doing.
Right.
And not be afraid that if it's a bigger woman or a man, to fucking unravel it.
Right.
Even if you're in the business for day one, and I think this is our bigger message. And so what's next for you, babe? Like, I know you have an epic event coming up. Let's talk about this.
Oh, I do.
I'm on my way there.
Yes, I know. I'm so excited you're coming. So yeah, really what I'm up to right now is I'm really moving in. I'm helping people to adopt this collaboration model of building business, where, again, leveraging OPG, OPN. I'm very big on that, and helping women rise from that 6 to 7 figure level through developing these amazing, authentic, very supportive relationships where we can all rise together. And then in the room at Epic, that's where I'm meeting with the leaders. That's where I'm meeting with the women who are movers and shakers in their industry. They are not only wanting to shake up the status quo of what they're seeing, but we want to rewrite the rules on our terms. Who said that business had to be done this way? And if we don't exactly have the model, we need to invent it. And what a better way to reinvent the next evolution of entrepreneurship than to get a bunch of badass women who are willing to question the status quo in a room to collaborate and create solutions together. Right? So we're going to be talking about market disruption. We're going to be talking about really understanding your platform and what you stand for in the market. And, I often ask the question, if you were on the cover of Forbes magazine, why would they put you on the cover of Forbes, and what would the byline be? Like, what would the title be? why, what for what, and really helping people establish what that positioning is for the business. And then also talking about the ways that we can change the game in business and talk about the issues that we have as women, because a lot of people don't want to talk about them. Juggling family, juggling, like being in the bro world, rising, dating. You and I were talking about this earlier. Dating when you're a very powerful woman,
right?
Aging, yes. Like how do you deal with this when you have a partner who's not in the business? How do you bring your partner in? All of these subjects that there's no manual for that yet. Until we get to Epic and we all come together and we say, hey, look, this is what I struggled with. Let me tell you how I solved it, or this is what I'm struggling with. Can you guys help me? And just being in a place where we can let it out and co-create together.
I love it.
I'm so excited.
You're amazing. Thank you for being here.
Thank you for having me.
I cannot wait. We'll make sure everyone knows how to find you, how to get to the Epic event. Right? I know it's invitation only, so there's a lot of certain things that people will pass those guidelines. However, the ones that deserve to be there will be there. But I want to know, where can they easily find you? Where do you play the most, so everyone can just watch what you're all about?
So obviously I'm all over social. You can go to connectwithkelly.com and you can get on my VIP list where you'll get my podcasts, my vlogs. It also has connections to all of my social, but I'm on all the channels and
Okay, we'll make sure that we let everyone know.
Thank you.
So what do you think? Think about this. The moment that you decide to unravel, to question the status quo. This is the conversation that Kelly and I are having today, but I want you to think about, are you doing this? Are you looking at what your industry is doing, and instead of following the blueprint, recreating something new? See, this is where we're gonna go as an entrepreneur, not only a woman, a man, but a world that wants to make a bigger difference. This is cracking the matrix and recreating our own. And if that's the lesson that you heard today, then make sure that you make some comments down below. Share with us what you learned. Follow Kelly. This woman is crushing the industry. She's breaking down those barriers that makes us question if we're good enough. It's time. It's time for us to not only say yes that we're good enough, but to say fuck yes, that we are now going to take to the next level and change the way business is done. All right, everyone. It's so great to have you on this show. Make sure you thank the Nightfall group as well for this gorgeous home that we're in, and go follow this amazing woman, and we're going to see you in November.
Absolutely.
All right, don't forget to be unstoppable and stay wild. See you next show.